Man is the secret embodiment of the soul, a mysterious entity that is deeply rooted in the very nature of our being. One day, people gained knowledge about the mysterious eddy of the soul, an amazing power that can turn desire into a sharp sword of true truth. This word eddy suddenly became hot and often heard in conversations. Fascinated by the sword, the guy was surprised that he also had his own eddy. Over time, people learned to materialize this power in various forms, and the guy with the sword was no exception. Having asked the interlocutor what eddy he had, he replied that he had earth blocks. With the expansion of knowledge about the eddies of the soul, people began to divide each other by rank. The issue of rank led to unequal souls and labels used to label each other. The school became a tool for raising the status of the country, and during the hostilities, people with high rank were sent to the front line, which also affected the school. One day, a group of guys started chasing a guy with an iron axe and he challenged them to a fight. He asked to show what they were still capable of, however, none of the 10th graders could defeat him. One of them even just stood idle, not understanding how he could be useful. After an unsuccessful attempt to defeat the guy, one of the guys began to blame him for the team's defeat. Answering that they didn't deserve to play on the same team with such a fool, he was punished and received several blows. They wished him death, which clearly exceeded reasonable limits, and he admitted his guilt. But the guys suggested another way of punishment, 10 blows for each injured team member. In this captivating story, mental strengths are embodied in fiery battles, and the guys face their own weaknesses and strengths. The inner world of each character is revealed, and their destinies are intertwined in an exciting confrontation. The guy, exhausted with fatigue and despair, decided to ask his offenders if they could stop torturing him, since they were all already tired. However, his request only caused ridicule from the other guys. They cornered him and warned him not to use his eddy as it is strictly forbidden in the school. But they promised not to go to extremes so that he could not complain to the teacher. The boys intended to hit him as they thought he was an F-rank loser, and on top of that, he was their classmate. Suddenly, a teacher appeared, whom they were glad to see, but in fact the joy was not serious. The school was marked by the state for the achievements of older students, and from that day on it became a platform for military exercises. Now the students were divided into military ranks, and they became fighting comrades. All teachers were given their ranks from lieutenant to commander, and the teacher ordered him to be called the commander of the 10th platoon. One of the guys asked why the 10th platoon, to which the teacher gave a strange answer related to the 10th grade. He warned the students that in connection with the government initiative, now they need to stop complaining and not skip classes. School children will have to show honor and discipline, because now they are soldiers, no matter how symbolic it may sound. The teacher finished his speech, and a new era in the school began. A student who was beaten before class decided to go to the teacher and ask what to do if he does not want to be part of the military school. The teacher thought for a moment and replied that no one could force him to participate, and if he did not want to, he could apply for a transfer to another school. The students began to wonder why their school was turned into a military school, and did not understand why such a decision was made. But the teacher could not give an answer, because he only mentioned that the 11th graders performed so well that they helped the school get military status. As a result, they all received the status of sergeant, and the teacher believed that our 11th graders would be the hope for a bright future for Korea. The state noticed their potential, and only the best 10th graders could get the rank of corporal, while the rest became lance corporals. The teacher was responsible for assigning ranks, and he could reevaluate ranks at any time. He promised to help in any way he could, and reminded them that their future lies only in their hands. The teacher explained that a teacher's journal would be started later, which would mark the rank of each student. Everyone tried not to lose anything until they had orders on their uniforms. However, there was only one student, Jin Sung, who could not get the rank of private and was simply nicknamed Rookie. After the lesson, the teacher invited the guy to his place and asked what was on his mind. The guy replied that it was nothing special, but the teacher felt that they should talk about his future. He suggested that the guy change schools, arguing that this might be the best solution. The teacher said that it was difficult for him to cope with his studies, not to mention the military training, and that he might not be able to withstand such stress. However, the guy did not give up and assured the teacher that he could help him reach his potential. He hoped that he would succeed. But the teacher doubted, and this naivety of the guy makes him laugh. She warned that due to the ranking system, it would be even more difficult for him at school, and even she, as a teacher, would not be able to help absolutely every student. The guy noticed that the teacher assumed that he would simply give up because of the constant insults and humiliation and try to change schools. It pained him to hear that he was considered useless because of his F rank. The guy asked the teacher one more question and asked if it was really possible to divide the souls into ranks. The teacher, of course, answered in the affirmative, but the guy did not agree with this. Suddenly, the bell rang and the teacher asked all the students to take their seats as they were divided into squads. The sergeants had to report on attendance. 10th platoon, 1 detachment, a total of 10, no missing. The 2nd detachment, there are no absent. The 3rd detachment, 2 are missing, 1 loser. It would be better if he was not there, said the teacher. One of the sergeants asked if losers would be counted in the attendance calculation, and the teacher replied that of course they would be included in the calculation. There are no problems with attendance, said the teacher. Today, instead of classes at the school, there is an exciting event on the field, where government scouts hide out, watching the reactions of high school students to sudden changes. They prepared the fights by dividing the students into teams, and the teacher asked Yoon Ji-young a question about his Edea rank and fighting ability. The guy did not understand why so many questions. He was confident in his abilities, declaring that he would kill everyone and would do an excellent job in the first battle against the 11th graders of the first squad of the 1st platoon. As soon as the teacher announced that all but the 3rd squad would go to the battlefield, the guy had doubts. He believed that they were doomed to failure, since his rivals were among the best 11th graders. However, the guy decided to at least try. His sergeant was annoyed with every word he said, not understanding the manner of speech of this guy. He considered him a failure and thought that he did not deserve a place on the battlefield. But the guy did not consider himself so outstanding and was not very worried. The sergeant explained that there was a difference between defeat and disgrace, and the guy would be at fault if they went down in the rankings. However, the guy did not consider himself important enough to worry about it, and the sergeant was embittered, realizing that at the moment he could not punish the guy, since he was still needed on the battlefield. Much has changed after the teacher offered the guy to become his personal shield. It all started with intelligence leaders taking to the field and teachers being asked if they were willing to watch them. The scouts were alert and the teams were ordered to take their positions. The leader of each squad was to receive a bracelet capable of harnessing the power of the Edea for protection. However, this bracelet will break from the impact of the uranium, which helps teams last longer on the field as long as the bracelet is intact. When it breaks, the team is out. This time, additional requirements have been introduced, and the victory will be credited to the team that can hold out for 5 minutes. The team, where the loser was, began to panic, believing that this was impossible with their composition. The F-ranked boy began to reconsider the transfer to another school, but his teacher, if he won, promised to reconsider this decision. The fight began, and the sergeants grabbed the guy by the scruff for personal protection. They only needed to hold out for 5 minutes, but the team was only focused on defense. When one of the opponents approached the sergeant, he ordered the guy who served as his human shield to protect him and cover him. But the guy replied that he could not interfere with this girl. This caused a conflict, and the girl exclaimed the word armor. Her Edea turned out to be amazing and powerful. Time dragged on slowly. Their leader tried to escape, although there were only 3 minutes left to hold. The guy decided to distract the girl by asking if he could call her sister to buy at least some time. But she was not going to waste time and demanded that he reveal his Edea. The guy continued further, saying that perhaps they were connected by fate, and offered to get acquainted, but the girl was impatient and was not going to wait. He told her to wait a minute, but she only commented that he looked darker than his comrades. The guy explained that consistency was important, as his father said, and that he would reveal his Edea. He spoke the word 1, 2, dagger, and revealed his F rank. He had a normal dagger with no benefits. However, the girl suddenly felt unwell and suggested that he go to the infirmary, implying that he was that F rank loser. But the guy believed that his dagger was no worse than a weapon with a higher rank. He asked her to stay, because she herself wanted to look, but she did not see the point in wasting time on an F rank loser and left. The guy understood that he had dodged his fate only by accident, but he himself could not just let the girl go. He warned her one last time that he would attack from behind, but she remained indifferent and considered him a failure. The series of actions became increasingly tense when the boy decided to attack the girl from behind with his dagger, believing that she would continue to ignore him. However, he only lightly touched her armor, which caused laughter from everyone else, who dismissively called him a loser. The girl was frightened, but stated that his reaction was not bad, but it would not help him with such a rank, and he would not prove anything. Despite this, the guy still gained some time, and there were only 2 minutes left. Meanwhile, the sergeant returned, and the girl told that the guy tried to attack her, but she managed to avoid the blow. However, the guy was determined. He replied that he would show what he was capable of and mentioned the rank of Edea Bunji-young. The girl was surprised as he was hiding his rank, which was dangerous. The guy explained that he could extract objects and use them as weapons. The stone they spotted nearby was a perfect illustration of his abilities. He didn't just run away, but waited for a suitable object for his rank to appear. The guy showed his skill, forcing the girl to think about what will happen to him next. The guy, although he was knocked down by an ominous blow from behind, did not give up. He faced an incredibly strong girl, but he believed that he could hold out a little more thanks to his Edea. He got up again, trying to win. How happy that he intervened and saved her from being hit. She got angry and said that this was her chance to prove herself and he had no right to interfere. She claimed that she would have dealt with this boy without any problems. The guy was sure that she could handle him easily, and this time he decided to use a special move called I'll catch you. This technique allowed him to catch any target and move within the set time limits. The minute for the loser overtook, and he exclaimed that he was giving up. But the leader was wondering why the guy was warning Ju before their sergeant activated the Edea. Apparently, he had his own plans and strategy that could influence the course of events. The situation turned out to be tense and full of secrets, and now it was interesting to find out what the next stage of the fight between these unusual warriors would be. A critical situation arose around the guy and the girl. Sursun warned the girl because he did not know what to expect from his commander. Meanwhile, Ina was approaching the guy, intending to deal with him, but he suddenly screamed that he had given up. It turned out that the team leader used his I'll catch you skill to keep the guy at a distance. The guy introduced himself as a warrior from the 13th Division, 10th Platoon, named Jin Sung, who possesses F-rank Edea. While Ina was watching the guy, he asked who she was and voiced his suspicions about her. There was only 1 minute left, and the guy understood that the scouts could choose the worst students and send them to another school after the battle. He advised Ina to at least try to win or reconsider her intentions, because he did not understand why she did not want to at least try to win. The situation has become even more tense, and the next decisions of the participants in this unusual battle may forever change their future in this military school. The tension in the fight increased even more when the boy realized that the teacher was watching him with a smile at the beginning of the fight. Now he understood that the teacher was waiting for him to leave the school, and the guy was afraid that he did not have a place here. However, he decided to continue the fight and give his best answer. His opponent became serious and said that he could not guarantee his safety. The guy replied that he was not afraid and was ready for a deadly fight, because he was an F-rank warrior and could cope with any opponent. He activated his Edea, an ordinary dagger with no advantages, but with the help of it, his physical capabilities increased 3 times. Now the guy could determine the weaknesses of the enemy and easily deal with him, thanks to his improved skill. However, he understood that this skill would only turn off after killing the enemy or completely destroying his Edea. Becoming each other's opponents, they began a deadly confrontation, ready to do everything possible to win and stay in this school. A battle fire flared up in your hearts, and you were seized by the desire to kill, embodying the massacre of the rank of Edea. But it seemed to you that an ordinary dagger of the rank F was only a small part of your true potential. The skill I'll catch you gave you the ability to slow down time and accomplish great feats. Rank B, your abilities suck, your opponents told you, not realizing that your gaze extended beyond their line of sight, and you could see other people's Edea. Your heart was beating passionately, and you could no longer endure this tense situation. You sincerely believed that you could rely on your abilities. Maybe I've already outgrown this emo stage, you doubted, feeling the unbearable heat inside. When others didn't understand why you were standing still, you knew you didn't want to waste your time and energy on petty strife. Your goal was different. What are you standing for? Others asked, and you only silently resisted. You came to watch him being beaten, but now you saw that he is not what he seemed before. He is a loser, but a real fighter. We can't stop him. The girl shared your concern. She ordered to attack, and everyone rushed at the guy. But he was fast as lightning and was able to defend himself. He carried a duty on his shoulders, just like you, and he did not need your protection. Everything happened at such a speed that Edea's bracelets were destroyed by the incredible force of his blows. The views of all participants in the battle were filled with respect for the guy who was able to hold out and show his strength for 5 minutes. But for him, this was only the beginning, and he was already preparing for the next test. The 3rd detachment of the 10th platoon won, and the director invited their winner to his office. There he was met by the famous Jin Sung, the pride of the school, who became the best student among the best. His achievements are majestic, and everyone admired his skills, which made B rank famous. Jin Sung became interested in the rookie and asked for a description. It turned out that this guy had a difficult past. He lost his parents at the age of 8 and experienced a strong shock. Perhaps it was because of this that he was unable to manifest his Edea in time. For a long time, he suffered bullying from his F-rank aunt. But at the age of 10, when he survived a burglary, he suddenly manifested his Edea. Such circumstances of the student made everyone think about his potential and strength. Despite the difficult past, he was able to find the strength to show his abilities at the moment when it was necessary. This guy had a unique strength and determination, and his future could be extraordinarily bright. Everyone at the school was shocked and could not understand how such an F-rank student could manifest his Edea at only 10 years old and not improve her fighting ability over time. Many guessed that he may have hidden higher abilities, and he deliberately did not show his strength. However, interest in Park Jin Sung, this mysterious student, only grew. He became the center of attention and earned his popularity, because such a rarity among 10th graders could not go unnoticed. But Park Jin Sung has his own worries and responsibilities. He comes to school early in the morning to clean up. His rivals, especially the 1st platoon, underestimated him and could not believe that he was capable of anything more. However, in their eyes, he remained just an ordinary loser with an ordinary dagger. Meanwhile, the principal of the school was thinking about the future and plans of the school. The introduction of military training was related to the readiness for attacks from the north, and they hoped to help the students change and become stronger. The whole world around Park Jin Sung and his academic life seemed full of mysteries, and he had to reveal his potential and show his true strength, overcoming obstacles and bewilderment of others. After the fight with the 11th graders, Park Jin soon noticed that the attitude of his classmates towards him began to change. He was no longer the object of bullying, but began to address him with respect. When he was cleaning, classmates approached him for help, and he gladly agreed to help, despite their past relationship. Gradually, his class began to use his abilities to their advantage. He became valuable in the class and everyone wanted his help. However, Park Jin soon still faced uncertainty in choosing which division to join. He was afraid that because of his rank he might be denied entry. The teachers and other students started discussing divisions and rankings, and Park Jin soon became indecisive. He dreamed that the rank restrictions were removed and everyone could choose their place without restrictions. Finally, he decided to choose a unit where there were no rank restrictions and where he could learn and develop without restrictions. However, when he entered the hall for his chosen unit, he was surprised to see many people there. At first he did not understand what was happening, but quickly realized that he was being accepted into the unit, and this was unexpectedly pleasant for him. However, among the new comrades, there were those who doubted his ability due to his F rank. However, Park Jin soon decided to ignore the doubts and just prove his worth and ability. He was ready to take on the challenge and become better, despite the bias and doubts of those around him. The crowd in the hall was shocked by the appearance of Park Jin Soon. They did not expect to see such a talented leader in the training division. He attracted attention with his beautiful appearance and magnificent abilities. When he admitted that he did not expect such a crowd, the girls became more curious and delighted. However, Park Jin soon decided to return immediately, look around and collect his thoughts. He was not used to seeing so many people, and he decided to get used to the situation first. After all, he came expecting a little less people. He learned that everyone who wants to take the entrance test must pass a few exercises. And although his abilities were below average, he was determined and was not going to give up. Voices about the German exercise, comparing its strength and confidence, aroused interest and respect. Suddenly, the teachers began to describe the training that he and the rest of the students would have to do. Only 30 burpees, 30 push-ups and 30 squats. Park Jin Soon was even offered the opportunity to do 10 sets, but he was determined to do everything and more. All the other students were amazed at his ease and speed of doing the exercises. Not a single muscle flinched, and he passed through them with incredible dexterity. He became a monster, a real model of strength and endurance, which caused surprise and admiration among all those present. His teacher and the leader of the training unit were amazed by his incredible abilities and considered him a real talent. Voices were spoken in the hall every second. As someone gave up, the first group was eliminated. The F-rank guy was very reluctant to go ahead, but the loser insisted that he go first. However, Park Jin soon didn't want to show his abilities to the fullest. He trained alone to learn how to defend himself, and believed that an ordinary person would not be able to perform such training. The second group was no less frightened and unsure, and they decided to speed up in order to get tested faster. However, they were surprised to see that 9th grader Park Jin soon didn't give up and kept going. He proved his endurance and speed of reaction without slowing down. An Soon-ho, the unit's leader, was amazed by Park's tenacity and realized that his F-rank combat abilities weren't just a coincidence. Gradually, Park got closer and closer to An Soon-ho, making everyone around him marvel at his stamina and ability to keep up the pace. Finally, Park Jin soon successfully completed the training, completing all the necessary approaches. His success caused surprise and congratulations from all those present. He was accepted into the training division and was considered by many to be a worthy opponent for An Soon-ho. At the end of the training, Park was invited to continue training with An Soon-ho, as they believed that such training together would be much more effective. An Soon-ho stated that he had been waiting for a worthy opponent for a long time, and Park Jin-soon thought that being considered worthy was true praise and confirmation of his skills. His soul was trembling with vague fear and uncertainty. He felt like a small spark in a huge stream, unable to overcome his own doubts. He dreamed of becoming invisible, hiding in the shadows and disappearing so as not to attract the slightest attention to himself. But every look, every word searched for him, haunted him, as if he were special. But special, not in that good sense, but as if under a strange, hidden tuning fork of envy and suspicion. A mysterious girl, whose beauty seemed to be as alien to him as this whole new world around him. Her gaze was keen, as if she could penetrate into the very depths of his soul and read every thought. He tried to hide his emotions, but her eyes seemed to penetrate him anyway. She asked with interest if he was in their class, and he nodded with a slight strain in his voice, as if he was afraid to say something superfluous. She smiled, and her smile seemed so mysterious and attractive to him. She shared her badge, but her questions didn't stop there. She became interested in his title, but he, not proud of him, silently admitted that he did not have a title. And now, when he began to doubt what kind of girl she was, she calls him newbie. Newbie. There was a repulsive and contemptuous attitude in this word. He felt uneasy, as if he had been hurt. He wanted to say something in his defense, to explain that he just happened to be here. But the word stuck in his throat and he remained silent. He felt like a stranger even though he was in this class. His soul groaned from the weight of prejudices and suspicions that he had to carry every day. Beginner, this word was like a seal on his fate. He stood in front of the girl, feeling defenseless, like a small flaming torch in a vast blue. He looked down at his hands, which were trembling with nervous tension. He didn't want to be a beginner, he didn't want to be a stranger, he wanted to find his place in this world. But now it seemed to him that it was simply impossible. The quiet noise of the school corridors was filled with various conversations, when the guy involuntarily responded to the acquaintance of a mysterious girl. "Nice to meet you," she said, introducing herself as Corporal Kim Si-yeon. His heart was beating with unusual intensity, because he was about to join the ranks of the 10th platoon. But suddenly the girl insistently asked him to take her to school. It seemed to him that she was going crazy, but he agreed, not wanting to offend her. Together they walked along familiar paths, and the girl asked him a strange question: does he have a girlfriend? His answer that no, was unexpected for her, and she offered to meet. The guy was dumbfounded by such an offer and indignantly rejected it. But her fascination with his rank and Edea left him in disarray. Do such people exist? The girl thought, and the boy could not hide his irritation and asked her to leave so that he could continue his training. Suddenly, he noticed that she was following them, trying to take a closer look at his abilities. He could not understand why she was so interested, but doing sports at that moment was sincere. They pulled themselves up on the horizontal bars, and the girl asked why they spend so much time on a beginner. During the lesson, the teacher introduced her as the new student in the class, and she asked where she belonged. At that moment, the guy realized that this girl is a mystery that mixes his feelings and reveals his secrets. She was chic, mysterious, and magnetic, and he couldn't predict where their strange encounters would lead. A mysterious and self-confident guy appeared before the class. He sat down in his place, but suddenly a strange girl asked for his place in the third squad, although there were no more empty seats. He resolutely refused to change seats, saying that this was his place, and the girl gave up trying to convince him. The teacher's suspicions that she was from another school were confirmed, and she introduced herself as Kim, corporal of the 3rd Division. The guy was stunned that the girl knew about his rank. She acted strangely, drawing his attention, but he tried to ignore it. The teacher asked her to introduce herself in front of the class, but the girl stubbornly refused to get up, citing the rules of propriety. Then, as if nothing had happened, she smiled and said that she would study with them and introduced herself as Kim, who holds the rank of corporal and possesses the rare Edea, a white jade goblin. The class was shocked by the revelation and everyone marveled at her ability. The entire class remained shocked that she was such a unique and mysterious being. Gradually, they realized that now an unusual newcomer with unique abilities studied at their school. Edea is a unique manifestation of the soul, a unique power that is not inherited. She was the owner of talents that made her unusually strong and dangerous, but such abilities were never repeated in other people. The once powerful Kim family, descendants of King Suru, tried to preserve these unique abilities by devoting their lives to educating and protecting their lineage. However, over time, the family began to shrink, and only the daughters had the opportunity to call the goblin. But the last generation in the family gave birth to a girl who possessed this unique gift, which surpassed the abilities of even male representatives. Thus was born a girl with a sword-wielding goblin who inherited hidden skills far superior to those of men. From that day on, Kim became the vice leader of the 3rd Division, but she attracted the attention and suspicions of the teacher, who believed that a rookie could not immediately become vice leader. However, Kim was confident in her abilities and considered herself gorgeous. Gradually, she began to communicate with a newcomer who was also special, the owner of the F rank. He performed duties for other students and showed incredible responsibility. Kim was amazed at his kindness and ability to take on too much. One day, she decided to show him that shifting her duties to the weak is low, and together with him they went to the people who were behind it. Soon a conflict arose between Kim and the leader of the detachment, who called her to the roof of the school. On her way, she saw that behind the leader were 15 students who were on his side. The conflict flared up so much that it came to an armed skirmish, and Edea was banned from the school grounds. Such events only increased Kim's mystique and power, leaving everyone at a loss and anticipating further events. She became a figure carrying many mysteries and secrets, and the newcomer could not refuse her offer to be friends, because she was something truly special and unique. Amidst the noisy confrontation, an incredible power erupted, a white jade goblin that gave the girl Kim great powers, raising her to a rank of power. It is always said that strength and power are never equal, but Kim understood that this rank required a lot of skill and experience, and she certainly learned to face many obstacles alone. However, the students, amazed by her talents, tried to attack her, but Kim, unarmed, demonstrated her imperviousness to the crowd and the ability to deal with 3 opponents at once. She overtook her rivals, but despite their defeat, the leader of the 3rd squad strongly protested that a person like her could have such strength, and even invited her to test her abilities. A fight broke out between Kim and the leader, but suddenly the rookie intervened and prevented the girl from hitting. It seemed that he was hiding his abilities, but they appeared unexpectedly, as if to save Kim. The girl was surprised by his speed and incredible reaction, and she noticed that he did not reveal his abilities earlier. The fight ended, and at that moment it turned out that the leader was recording everything on camera to use against the girl. But the beginner immediately realized that it was a camera and even used it to soften the blow. He took advantage of the situation so as not to harm Kim. The test was over, and Kim realized that the newcomer really had amazing abilities, which he carefully concealed. But instead of gratitude, he blamed the loser for the whole situation, and Kim was on the verge of punishment. She asked why he took such a risk, and received an answer that stunned her: "I helped you. Why are you like this?" Ranked fighters have always been admired and respected, not only because of their skills, but also because of the bit of luck that accompanies them in the most difficult situations. The next day, their squad encountered a first aid class, which also included students from another school specializing in this topic. Kim immediately drew attention to the lesson and asked what they would do. However, she was treated with some disinterest, not taking into account her combat abilities. She felt like she was taken for a child, not paying due attention to her skills. But Kim knew that she would have to prove herself in the bank in order to appear in front of them in a good light. Suddenly, the loser was approached by a guy from another school who showed interest in his fighting ability and expressed a desire to transfer to the combat unit. Inspired by a new acquaintance, the guy boldly demonstrated his skills by accurately throwing a carbonated drink into the urn with incredible speed and accuracy. This startled his new friend, who couldn't believe that such a low-ranking guy had such outstanding abilities. It seemed that the loser was able to accomplish the impossible, causing bewilderment and surprise in all those present. Everyone started asking questions, not believing their eyes. Thus, fate brought together two different fighters, one with a low rank and the other from a high school with a thirst for action. The incredible abilities of the loser, which he showed in front of a new friend, won the hearts of everyone present, and Kim realized that rank and skills do not always determine the strength of a person. And something incomprehensible can be hidden in everyone. The kids were about to leave, but he suggested they start grading. Can we get started? The teacher suddenly entered the classroom door, apologizing for being late. The kids were about to leave, but he suggested they start grading. Can we get started? He said with a smile. However, instead of a standard lesson, he decided to arrange something interesting, improvisation. The best students who showed the strength of their creative thought were the first to be evaluated. The teacher then suggested that they go out for coffee, confident that he knew where the best coffee was. The guys agreed and went together. In the cafe they came across strange people in unusual costumes. They were students from another school, probably dressed in cosplay. When someone suggested playing a game of rock, paper, scissors, suddenly someone used their Edea rank skills and everything turned into unexpected chaos. Someone with a sword in demands insistently asked to fill his bag to the top. The students were confused, not understanding what was going on. It turned out that they had encountered a monster or a training challenge. Everyone was shocked by his power and did not understand what to do. The man with the sword looked strong and suggested that one of the guys play a joke on him, otherwise the head might be in danger. The answers to his questions sounded strange, like he was from North Korea. He insisted that everyone obey his demands, but one of the students did not hear him and continued to stand still, not succumbing to fear. As I directed my comrades to fill the bag with money, I couldn't help but vent my frustration at the thief's audacity. I questioned whether the people of South Korea suffered from poor eyesight or hearing, as they seemed oblivious to the perilous situation unfolding before them. It infuriated me that we were perceived as weaklings, blindly rushing towards our own demise like moths drawn to a flame. The thief's power was undeniable, and his energy spoke of ranks far beyond our capabilities. I urgently called for everyone to take cover, especially the innocent school children who shouldn't be caught in the crossfire. In the midst of chaos, Kim unexpectedly intervened, displaying incredible prowess by swiftly defeating a high-ranking fighter with a single blow. It was evident that he possessed a formidable Edea, leaving us in awe of his strength. Yet, despite our futile attempts to maintain order, we found ourselves in dire need of protection. I questioned the necessity of these useless guards as Kim's general abilities proved to be on par, if not surpassing, the ranks. The girls' screams echoed, urging us to find cover and seek safety behind the protection of a crystal. Amidst the confusion, we found ourselves questioning our roles. Did we all decide to become mere bankers in the face of this overpowering adversary? The thief's sarcasm only fueled our determination to unite and support one another in this time of crisis. As the situation unfolded, the girl pondered her ability to confront the menacing foe alone. His toy, as he wielded it menacingly, appeared to be a dangerous weapon, further intensifying her doubts. In this chaotic and perilous moment, we were left wondering how to face this formidable threat and protect ourselves and the innocent children. The thief's presence loomed over us, leaving us in a state of uncertainty and trepidation. Bor and I found ourselves in a desperate situation with empty wallets, so we decided to seek help. However, the cold and distant attitude of Korean banks puzzled us. The brave girl who had been silent until now introduced herself, and her fearlessness intrigued me. I wondered if she could provide valuable insights on how we might obtain more money from my friends. Her response was unexpected as she questioned our origins and speculated that we might have escaped from North Korea. It was evident that she had her suspicions, but we assured her that we were not spies and had no ill intentions. She seemed to have a keen interest in money and contemplated ways to buy some time. To bridge the gap between us, I decided to reveal more about myself and my affiliations. I inquired if she had heard of our group, the Consortium of the Great Pestilence, which was often referred to as the Plague. Our disposition and history were unknown, but we were a mysterious terrorist organization opposed to all of humanity. Wherever we went, only a trail of death and destruction remained. I chuckled as she mistakenly associated us with North Korea, but I corrected her, explaining our true identity as the Consortium. I playfully noted that her comrades seemed to be influenced by Western culture, and I hinted at the possibility of investing in pooling our resources. Intrigue filled the air as we contemplated this unexpected alliance. The possibilities seemed endless, and a sense of surprise hung in the balance. Our encounter had taken an intriguing turn, and I couldn't help but wonder how our newfound partnership would unfold. The girl named Edea confidently asserted that the rock-haired thief wouldn't simply leave them alone even if he took the money. She suggested that they should fight back, but she knew it wouldn't be easy. Convincing the thief's buddies to join in would be crucial to create a fair chance. Edea believed she needed to face the one in charge, the woman named Lenkum, and challenge her to a duel. The thief taunted Edea, underestimating her bravery and her family's reputation as goblins. He questioned her determination to fight a terrorist like him and mocked her for provoking a fight. But Edea didn't back down. She saw an opportunity to outwit him by playing on his ego. As the duel began, Edea managed to lure the thief into letting her make the first blow, and she skillfully used the moment to grab a weapon, a sword she had put down earlier. Hesitation from the crowd. Edea's actions started to gain support, and the spectators chanted her name. However, Edea knew that victory wouldn't come easily. Lenkum possessed great strength and skill, and it was clear that this battle would be fierce. Edea understood the gravity of the situation and focused on her strategy to survive. She contemplated her next move, knowing that it would be crucial to immobilize her opponent. In a stealthy move, she grabbed a large stone, preparing to attack. But before she could strike, the thief called her out for hesitating and questioned her goblin heritage. Edea took a deep breath, reaffirming her courage, and made her move. The crowd watched intently, realizing that Edea was fighting not just for herself but also for their safety. As the confrontation unfolded, the atmosphere became charged with anticipation. Edea's determination and skill were evident, and she fought valiantly against Lenkum's strength. The outcome hung in the balance, and Edea knew she had to stay focused and determined to overcome this dangerous adversary. Amidst the chaos and danger, Edea knew she had to act swiftly to buy as much time as possible. Escaping upstairs to the restroom or a secluded spot seemed like the best option. The situation had escalated, and it was time to stop playing cat and mouse. The thief's confidence waned as he realized that Edea was not backing down. However, Kim, the powerful figure among them, still saw himself as the ultimate authority. He ordered his men to capture everyone, revealing his true intentions. Edea understood that her life was at stake, and she needed to make a decision quickly. Kim offered her a proposition to join him, but she was wary of his motives. The stakes were high, and she couldn't afford to trust a robber. As Kim introduced himself as the infamous party chairman of North Korea, Edea began to grasp the magnitude of the situation. He was a true monster, powerful in every way, and had a reputation worldwide. Edea felt a mixture of fear and determination to face such a formidable opponent. Kim expressed a desire to have a talented woman by his side, hinting at his grand plans and vast wealth. Edea was taken aback by his audacity but remained vigilant. She knew that aligning with such a man could be perilous. As the tense exchange continued, Adinadin realized that coming to this order to rob a bank was worth it. The identity of the true winners was clear to her, and she was prepared to face whatever came her way. Kim's condescending tone and arrogance did not sit well with Adinadin, but she kept her composure. She understood that using Edea and her skills would be essential to surviving this dangerous situation. Her plea for a blade revealed her determination to fight and protect herself. Adinadin knew that the path ahead would be treacherous, but she was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The clash between these powerful forces was far from over, and Adinadin had to be at her best to navigate the perilous journey ahead. While the rest tried to escape and run somewhere. Although the loser said that I had no reason to run, I need to fight. Sit on the toilet, he said, but the new friend asked if he had seen what happened to the guards. Even the teachers couldn't resist this brood, he said. Everyone is very in love with their eyes and with fear inside. What are we going to do to them? He asked. Do you believe the ranks can be divided higher? Asked the loser. Why did you suddenly ask about it? Said the new friend. I once accidentally heard that Kim's overall fighting ability used to be D-Rang, but now she's A-Rang. Don't you think that everyone's Edea is the same? Don't be upset about your rang. Why are you bringing this up? Asked his new friend. Looks like they're here. What should we do? We need to hide. You're good, Edea. In the shadow of the closet where he met his new friend, as if in an enchanted world, Pak reflected on his worthless fate. She's much better than mine, he whispered, wishing he had the same strength and skill. If you focus, you can do even more awesome things, his friend encouraged, his eyes fixed on the door as if waiting for someone. Park felt his new friend place a gentle hand on his shoulder and say confidentially, do as he says, just trust. But the fear did not leave Park, and he warned in a whisper, speak more quietly, they can hear us. In response to his concern, the door rang and a manly voice said, get out. Our boss doesn't like slow people. The student's heart beat faster as he ventured to peek out of the closet. What an interesting dialect you have. Maybe you can teach me, he asked boldly, not wanting to show his fears. Perhaps this will help soften their position in front of the boss. Stop fooling around, his friend whispered, hinting that the jokes might get them into trouble. If he finds out that we're here without his consent, they might cut off our legs or arms, the friend warned, showing his experience in this harsh environment. Amid the tension and uncertainty, Puck decided to draw the dagger he had in his pocket. What it is, the friend asked in surprise, turning his attention to the weapon. Don't tell me this is your Edea, he added, realizing that Edea was something far more complex and mysterious. However, with this new friend and his support, Park felt that his world had become more mysterious and exciting. Together they tread dangerous paths despite the inevitable hardships, and Park felt in his heart that there would always be something special with them to help them overcome whatever challenges lay ahead. Curious thoughts arose in Puck's mind, and he gazed admiringly at his opponent. It's amazing how he used the side leg skill, accelerating from 0 to 100 in a second, Puck mused, realizing his situation. It seemed to him that the user skills in this world were so powerful that a person could become completely invincible. You must run, he remembered the advice of a new friend, but quickly realized that it was impossible to escape here, because they fell into an insidious trap. Perfect massacre, Edea rank S. The best stat is increasing, he said, realizing that their opponent possessed strength and skills that were hard to imagine. Puck understood that the newcomer had excessive power, because he could accelerate to 100 in a matter of seconds. What long legs you have, Puck commented, trying to get the enemy's attention. But his words only prompted an apology from the rookie, who instantly toppled the uniformed man to the ground. It's convenient to have such an opportunity, Puck thought, but at the same time he felt that before him was a creature devoid of a drop of pity. Can you see the essence of my soul? Park asked, feeling the need to understand his opponent, his motives and intrinsic motivations. But the newcomer only silently thought. It seemed that the question touched something deep in his soul. What happens if Eddie's means of manifestation are destroyed? Puck said thoughtfully, beginning to realize that they were dealing with something far more complex and mysterious. Can the rank decrease? But the newcomer did not immediately answer, as if he himself thought about it. Thus, Puck faced a difficult choice, to understand his opponent and his essence, or to continue to fight in this dangerous game, where not only his life, but also his future was at stake. Time for a decision was running out, and Puck would have to make a decision that would change his fate. Excitement filled the atmosphere around him as the newcomer contemplated his options. The man in the uniform felt the thirst for death and was ready to end them. While the new friend asked for forgiveness and quickly ran away, the uniformed man wondered if the new friend had lost his mind. "We'll have to go with Plan 13, the man said ominously, his eyes blazing with interest. The newcomer was surprised, not understanding what the 13th plan was. "What is the 13th plan?" he asked, sensing that the uniformed man had hidden his power for a reason all this time. But the man only smiled mysteriously, deliberately not revealing his cards. Finally, he drew his sword and said, "My sword matches your pretty face. You will change your mind after the first blow." The girl did not succumb to the provocation and confidently answered, "Isn't it obvious?" She voiced her thoughts, knowing that she was from a strong and powerful family and had great power herself. But the man in the uniform was confident in himself and did not allow the thought that he would lose to some girl. "Does your sword have divine power?" he asked, trying to figure out the secret of her power. But the girl answered wisely, "How do I know about your strength? Are you saying that the effectiveness of the blow does not depend on strength, but on Eddie?" Mysteries and secrets shrouded this battle, and both opponents understood that they had met a worthy opponent. Their swords crossed, leaving sparks against the night sky as the world around them froze in anticipation of the outcome of this confrontation. Time will tell who will emerge victorious in this exciting showdown between strength and skill. Inside the tense confrontation, the girl realized that the sword she wielded was something special. His stats made him difficult to use, but he had the ability to weaken Eddie. She knew about his strength and his role in the fight against strong opponents, the killer of 4 tigers. They talked about him performing masterful blows with her sword. The girl demonstrated the skill of wielding a goblin sword, the ability to create physical copies to attack. The man admitted that she represents an interesting opponent and even invited her to join him. Knowing that the answer to such idiots as he should be categorical. "It's ridiculous to kill you right now, okay," she said with a sneer, appreciating the strength and skill of her opponent. A fierce fight broke out between them, their swords colliding with each other, radiating sparks of rage and passion. However, the man was confident in his strength. The skill of wielding a goblin sword made him a dangerous opponent. The girl had to be careful and focused to withstand his fast and strong blows. She knew that the battle would not be easy, but she was determined and ready to fight. "Are you really not afraid of anything?" the man asked, but the girl only smiled in response, showing her determination and courage. She knew that the enemy was stronger, but she did not give up and was ready to fight to the end. The fight continued, and the girl gradually realized how best to confront her opponent. She tried to find a weak spot in his attacks and respond with lightning speed as he fended off the goblin's spears. "I will not give up," she thought decisively as she continued to fight with all her strength and soul. She knew that even if victory seemed out of reach, she would fight to the last breath. She had to find out who would remain on the winning side of this amazing confrontation. Amidst the insidious fight, the man admitted that he liked the girl and that she was better at punching than he thought. The girl realized that his confession might hurt her self-esteem, but she was not going to give up. She decided to play by the man's rules to gain time. "Now you have some idea of what I'm capable of," said the man, proud of his abilities. However, the girl understood that this would not help him much. I'll be protected by spears to steal some time, she decided. But I'm not sure I can convince him to join. The man agreed that this was not enough, and they continued their fight. At this time, subordinate men brought several boys as hostages. The girl fought not only for her life, but also for the safety of these children. Why do you only bring children from the street? She asked, wondering why the male subordinates would do this. Comrades, did you go upstairs? Why are you putting children in danger? She continued, hoping that at least by doing so she would be able to keep the children out of harm's way. At this time, there was a noise in the streets, and the police gathered at the scene. The girl knew that time was against them, and tried to take the opportunity to change the course of events. She turned to the man again, hoping to find a small crack in his confidence. If you cooperate with me, we can both survive. Together we can face this situation, she tried to convince him. But the man remained adamant, and the battle continued, covering more and more lives. Time passed, and the girl had to continue to fight and look for ways to survive and save these innocent children. Inside the building, the situation grew increasingly tense. One group of subordinates herded the hostages to the upper floors, the other waited outside to catch those who might try to escape through the windows. Meanwhile, another unit was looking for those left in the building. Why did the police take so long to arrive? Thought the girl. It was strange and suspicious. The man noticed her alertness and noted that everything was written on her face. Are you wondering why the police didn't help? He asked. If so, then know that your guesses are not correct. The bank was temporarily closed with the help of Edea. The girl realized that the situation was more complicated than it seemed. The police seemed to be on lockdown or involved in something more complex. She understood that Edea could be involved in this situation and somehow influenced events. What is this design? The girl whispered thoughtfully. She understood that the bank had fallen victim to an unusual plan that used skills and powers that she did not yet fully understand. However, the girl did not give up. She understood that her determination and prudence could save the situation. She tried to penetrate the man's thoughts and find the weak link in his plans. Think of the consequences, she said. This can lead to big problems. We need to find another way out of this situation that will help us save the lives of all the hostages and not attract more trouble. The situation became even more complex and confusing when a guy suddenly appeared, introducing himself as Lee Sun-hwa, a student from Songjung's school. He was clearly not a terrorist, and his presence raised questions from everyone present. The girl decided to take advantage of this moment to buy some time and save herself and the hostages. Perhaps you have the keys to the exit. The girl turned to the guy, hoping that he could help them get out of this trap. We should try to let people know what's going on outside and get help. Lee Sung-hwa's boyfriend was scared, but he managed to calm down and explain that he accidentally got into this situation and did not want to draw attention to himself. Try to convince the terrorist that you can be useful to him, the girl prompted the guy. If he thinks you can help him, he might take attention away from us. Meanwhile, the man with the sword was still standing before them, warning them of the consequences. The girl decided to take a desperate step and turned to him again. If you're really stronger than me, then why don't you fight me one-on-one, she suggested. By defeating me, you'll prove your strength, and possibly let everyone else go. The man was wary, but noticing the confidence and determination in the eyes of the girl, he agreed to the battle. The girl knew that the chances of winning were extremely small, but her goal was to divert the attention of the man and let Lee Sun-hwa try to call for help from outside. Meanwhile, the rest of the hostages continued to wait and hope for salvation, not suspecting that their fate may depend on the courage and ingenuity of the girl in an unexpected union with a guy who was out of his element. Time was ticking and they were on the brink of disaster. But in this moment, their strength and determination were turned into weapons against terrorists, in the hope that their brave deeds would save the lives of many people involved in this dangerous game of forces and intrigues. The situation became even more critical when the sword-wielding man decided to pit his students against the goblin girl. Everyone understood that this choice was fraught with sacrifices, but they had no other choice. The girl's friend hastened to explain that if they continue to play for time, the man will kill everyone. "Let me go against her if it helps save the others," said the friend. "Hold on a little longer and I'll kill them all. Then we can escape." It was difficult for the girl's friends to make such a decision, but they understood that they had no other choice. They were forced to take part in this dangerous game in order to save themselves and others. "You will have to give the body part as payment for another life," the man with the sword said to the girl. "I'll take her hostage to make sure you don't let me down." The girl understood that her life was again at stake, but she was not going to give up. She knew she had to keep fighting to save herself and all the hostages. While the girl's friend was facing a terrorist, she focused on finding a way out of this situation. She knew but that all the money is on the 5th floor and maybe this could be their chance to get out of this trap. A friend managed to slow down the time a little, which gave her the opportunity to reflect. "Perhaps there is another way," thought the girl. "If I can get to the 5th floor, maybe I can defeat this sinister plan." She decided to take action. She concentrated all her skills and courage to overcome obstacles and reach the safe on the 5th floor. Time passes, and every second becomes critical. In this dangerous game of life and death, the girl decided to risk everything to save herself, her friend and all the hostages who became pawns in this dangerous situation. The scene became even more tense when the goblin girl pointed her sword at the other girl and offered to save the majority instead of letting the sword-wielding man continue his cruel actions. Her striking gauntlet indicated that she was ready to fight and protect her comrades. "Why can't you see that she saved people?" the guy said, trying to explain to the man with the sword that the goblin girl does not want to kill, but seeks to protect the lives of others. "Yes, we can survive if we unite," the goblin girl encouraged him. "Let's break the ceiling and try to get out. Together we have a chance to face the enemies." They decided to take a chance and join forces to get out of this trap. Analysis of the first squad that saw the loser throwing soda cans could be a trap. They understood that the male cop was on the top floor, and this was their chance to finally unlock his secret abilities. Taking advantage of the surprise, the goblin girl and her comrades decided to make their way to the top floor.